Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Samba no, this is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe and
John Baker.
that was, I believe, Mongolian.
okay.
Mongolian for how are you or are you good? That's how you say hi. And yes, the first foreign country the other day that came up was Mongolia.
I cannot believe
I
that.
cannot believe that either. That's always been like a fascinating country to me because it's so remote and so lowly populated. And I looked up and it was like, I didn't recognize the flag, and then next to it said Mongolia. And I thought, wow. So there you go.
Well, there you go. They listen to music in Mongolia.
Yeah. Well, China, I didn't even know if we were allowed because, China bans most American podcasts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why we don't have any. It's like the second most populated country. We've never had any listeners from China because you can't listen to us in China.
Well, I've listened to Mongolian music, so
Well, you can listen to us in Mongolia, apparently.
there you go.
Okay, so our top. Oh,
I was just going to say, just speaking of China and music, I remember I was listening to a podcast, and it was about how there was a little pocket of people that started collecting like 80s rock cassettes in China. And it was because when cassettes started to fade out, all of the excess tapes that they couldn't get rid of, they just shipped to a recycler in China. And there was some people that would scavenge the piles and pull out these cassettes and sell them like black market cassettes. So there were like people into Bryan Adams and just like these.
what were they? Singles or?
I think they were whole albums,
Oh,
but it
good
was
for
like
them.
80s, real specific time period of people that got into these Chinese people.
All right.
I don't know, interesting.
That's pretty cool.
So, Wayne, our topic today is, speaking of moments in time, our topic today is AI.
Right, and this is because just recently, as we were taping this, an act, and I'll put that in quotation marks, named Breaking Rust,
Yep.
had the most downloaded country music song
On Billboard.
on Billboard.
Yep.
And it's called Walk My Walk.
Walk My Walk. Yep.
And
Pretty inventive.
Oh, yeah. It is everything that I expected it would be. And it's pretty boring, pretty bad, I think. But it sounds as competent and better than some of the stuff coming out of Nashville right now.
Right.
And I wanted us all just to talk
We
about
did
how we
say
felt
that it's
about
artificial intelligence that made that, right?
the entire thing, including the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have several songs by this quote-unquote artist, and it's all AI generated.
100% unnatural.
Right.
Right.
However, one of the arguments that I have about this, and I am mostly opposed to AI art. However, I do think that good artists who know how to prompt it and create something cool, I think they'll do some great things with it.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
But overall, I think this is more of the making music and art more generic and giving you exactly what they think you want, and that may be what you want. Mm-hmm. Whereas you don't get stretched. Eventually something's going to happen where I think, hopefully, people are going to crave something that they don't know they want. But they may not get it because we may go all AI.
I'm not afraid.
No?
No, I just think it's going to continue to, like you say, it's going to try and crank out stuff that it thinks people want. But well, and this is the thing, I'm dividing people up. But there's a lot of people that are just intellectually lazy and just want, oral wallpaper.
Right.
That's who that music's made for, and that those people have always been there.
Yep.
It was made by humans before, but machines making music goes back 100 years. Player pianos, and I know those were programmed, but so is AI. AI doesn't just in and of itself come up with something. You have to prompt it.
You have to prompt it, and it scans stuff. It scans the world by way of your prompts to try to satisfy what you want. Right. And to some extent, that's what country music in Nashville has been doing for the last 20 years.
Yes.
People go into a room. It's music by committee, a bunch of guys and girls, whatever, a bunch of people getting together and creating something just that they think you'll like.
So it'll sell.
Right.
And that's not art, that's commerce.
Right. It's a product as opposed to art.
Right.
But
There's always going to be a market for that. There's always going to be an audience for that.
But people didn't know things like Elvis or the Beatles when they came in.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know that's what they wanted. They didn't know that was the sound.
They didn't know it was on offer.
Right. So how does art progress? How does music progress when that's the thing? I mean, dance music. Right. You were listening to some dance music as we came in.
Yes, I was. and I don't know if it was AI or not. It very well could have been AI.
Right. But they could produce something that would probably sound like that. I mean, what you were listening to is kind of subversive.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it was very subversive.
But what if they put a prompt in to say, make this dirty?
Right. Well, I mean, so you think about the audience, and I don't know that people are necessarily totally intellectually lazy, but maybe in terms of their music. And maybe formula music has always been big,
Right,
sure. And
we've reviewed so many things where the lyrics were just like, could have been written by a third grader or younger, So there's always a subset of people who are going to listen to formula music, or people who, like, I'll listen to formula music sometimes and very inventive music other times. I wouldn't want to always listen to formula music, but sometimes I don't need anything more than that. But, and I was just thinking of all the things that have happened in music, how has the industry carried on? All these things we thought one thing we thought was going to be devastating was digital music,
right,
and digital downloads and streaming, and
it has been to some extent.
Huge dent on sales.
Yeah, artists can't make money,
right?
Through album sales
make
anymore.
Money already,
right?
So and well, go ahead. I mean, I don't want to
keep
blow
going.
everything at once, but at the same time, no one's going to stop anyone from making music. If you are committed to making music, you will be able to make music,
and maybe wildly inventive using AI.
Right.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about is, what if Brian Wilson had AI when he was making pet sounds? It probably still would have been great, but he was relying on those musicians to interpret what he was coming up with. And they added things to it, just like all musicians will. They add personality to everything. They add some heart and soul, and you can feel that. Mm-hmm. It's like when I look at a digital picture right now, there's something alluring about a lot of those pictures, and they're getting better and better at drawing you in, and they look more and more real. But there's also something sort of disquieting to me that I can tell there's something that's not right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's I think that's in the music too. When I was listening to this Walk My Walk thing, I mean, number one, I'm glad a human being didn't write it.
Human beings have written worse,
They have, but the worse. I mean, John and I always appreciate really, really bad music, because really, really bad music can be really good sometimes.
Right. So bad it's good.
Right.
It's a niche.
Right. But you're not going to get that with this.
Right.
Well, I think we're all skewed. We're outside the bell curve. To me, music is central to me. It's like I got to have music at all times. I'm always listening to music, and if I'm not listening to music, I'm making music. But I realize I'm an outlier. Most people are, they're an accountant and they work in an office and they need some music on in the background while they're crunching numbers, and they're not thinking about, ooh, I love the way that chorus goes into that, or that bridge, or I love what he's saying right there. It's just
elevator music, all that.
It's always been there.
Yeah.
Well, but see, I disagree to some extent. I mean, it's always been there. I agree with that. But I do think that it's just like people who invest themselves into the country music's been coming out lately. They're going to invest themselves into this. I mean, this walk my walk thing. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm just going to go out there and to hell with all you people.
Right.
You can go kick rocks. Kick rocks is
a tribute to individuality by computers.
By computer.
Yes.
I know the irony of that is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is.
But I think there are people out there going, that's me, and it's like,
I identify with that guy.
Yeah, I identify with somebody who's not real.
Not really a guy.
And that's kind of what we've got with superhero movies and things like that. I mean, everybody wants this thing. They're afraid of reality.
Yeah.
And they They're afraid of the mistakes and the flaws in reality.
I think people find unreality more less threatening than reality, you know?
But the thing is, it's going to, I mean, it's one of the things is we all have our phones in our pockets. And our phones are always listening to what we're saying and what we're looking at. Mm-hmm. And it's just like with AI art or advertising, they're watching, your phone is watching your pupils to see when your pupils get bigger.
Yeah.
Because they know that is something that you're interested in. And they're going to be able to, before long, create something, a visual, that is going to be so arresting. It's going to capture your attention so much that you're not be able to get away from it. And they'll be able to say whatever they want.
Right.
Because they're watching, they're watching your eye movements, they're watching how long you pay attention to this thing. Mm-hmm. And to me it's a brave new world that's very scary on that front.
Yeah, that you have no privacy.
You have no privacy, and they're collecting data.
They're harvesting
constantly.
Data. Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it frightening to art. Art can come back and blow it out of the water maybe with, when people get tired of this, when there's a backlash. But right now, I just see that we're going to become not automatons, but we're going to be so easily controlled by it.
Well, some of us are. I don't feel like I am. I'm not scared for me.
Well, but it's like if looking at there's an artist friend or acquaintance, a fellow I know, that he was a pretty good painter, and he got totally into AI, and now he's creating his sex fantasy. He's got this
that's inevitable
female character, and we're all supposed to like this female character. It's like, dude, we got this figured out. We know what you're doing this for.
Right.
This is not art. This is your fantasy.
Right. But it's a real person's fantasy.
At
least the computers didn't create her. They didn't create her without some input, right?
Yeah, lots of prompts.
Yeah. So the AI music that's being created, I was trying to understand how it works. Because there are laws against mimicking another singer and all that. And it's like, how are you going to enforce that when everybody kind of sounds like somebody else? There's almost no one we've listened, or very few people we've listened to who don't sound like somebody else we know or several somebodies we know.
Well, Drake just not too long ago released a song that he pulled out very quickly because he had a voice that sounded like Tupac on it.
Okay.
And Tupac's estate sued him. And he withdrew it very quickly.
Yeah, so there's some limits on AI as to, there's some legal limits. One of the best things is that AI creations can't be copyrighted.
Right.
And that made me think, who's even making money off this walk the walk if it can't be? What's stopping me from putting that same, so you can take the same song and put it out yourself, or something like that. Now, there is some stipulations that if you, and this is where it gets fuzzy, and the law has to determine it. And, good Lord, our judicial system is still in the 50s, so I don't know if they'll catch up with it. But if you do contribute anything significant to the AI, so if the AI is your base, and then you strip your own vocal on it or something like that, then you can definitely copyright that. But anything that is predominantly or entirely created by AI cannot be copyrighted. And that does limit how you can even make money off of something like that.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say that might be a valuable governor too, though. If people want to make money off of something, they're not going to continue to put Rusted Bench or whatever the name of that guy is out there because nobody can make any money off of it.
Right.
Well, but that is right now.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah,
Eventually, this is what they want, the law that they want, they've been wanting to pass this, is that you cannot sue AI. They can gather from wherever.
Right.
And you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Once AI has everything at its disposal, then I guarantee you the AI companies are going to find a way to copyright their stuff, and they're going to own it.
Yeah, the legalities, too, of this kind of thing. I have to say that we can't count on, our American leaders to do anything about this.
No.
The truth is,
AI is all owned by the ultra wealthy, and they're all loving the current.
Yeah, and I mean, our politicians, Republicans and Democrats alike, are in the hands of lobbyists, and they're in the and our government is now seems to be more geared to protecting the rights and of businesses, and protecting their interests more so than individuals.
And the people with the most money are tech oligarchs, right?
Yeah.
Right. But the interesting thing to me is that that's not the way it is in other countries. We may have to turn to other countries for leadership on this. And an example of this is that Denmark, have you heard that what Denmark's doing?
No.
They're copywriting the face of every Danish citizen owns the copyright to their own face.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and they're pushing the rest of the EU, so all the European countries, or European Union, they will start copywriting faces. And it's not an AI music thing, but AI is like in a lot of things. And what bothers me most about AI is that it's used for propaganda.
Right.
It's used to slander people. It's used to exploit people. And I think the Danish thing was like, we can't have images of our children show up in AI porn,
right.
So, I mean, that's like far more alarming than how this is affecting the music business. It's like, this affects everything. This is why I don't believe anything on Facebook anymore. It's like, and you'll see it and it'll be like a trend of social media videos. And then you see it over and over and over in different and then you start recognizing AI parts to it. And it's like, oh man, again, this is wrong. And no matter how much you want to believe or don't want to believe what you're watching is true, a lot of it just simply isn't true, no matter what agenda it pushes for you. And that's dangerous because when we can't trust anything we see, we can't trust anything we hear, you're just kind of, you're just spitballing through life,
Yeah. And that's, if you want control over people, that's one of the things you do is you make them distrust everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what's going to,
that's where I'm getting.
Yeah. And I think it's terrifying.
Yeah.
We could see, one of our leaders doing the most awful thing in the world and had actually done it, and we couldn't trust it.
Right.
Everybody would say, oh, it's all AI generated. And it's like, well, how do we know it's not?
Right. And that's the first thing people say, well, I know this is being reported and seen, and people will say they were there and they saw it and blah, 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 but I just don't believe it. Yeah. And that's enough. That's enough. You can justify believing anything you want to believe.
Right.
That's scary.
It's terrifying.
So,
but it's interesting. That it is, and we're being. I don't know about other people, but at my job, we're being told to embrace AI, use AI all the time, use all this AI, and it's like, but AI is wrong. And I just saw a really good post from one of my best friends, Amy, who had said that there was a professor who, instead of fighting it, said, I want you to go to ChatGPT and have it write a theme about this topic.
Right.
And then I want you to go through and find out every place it's wrong and write me a theme about why it's wrong.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's seizing the educational moment.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead.
And that's what we should all be doing. I see constantly, I was looking for a video of one of my sons, and down at the bottom it has, AI. What about Andrew Bledsoe's career?
Right.
Do you want to know more about it?
Right.
And it was like, I'm his father. Right. So I know what was wrong and right.
Right.
And it was wrong. It had us writing a song together. It had all sorts of stuff. And it's like it had a lot of truth, but a lot of stuff that was just made up.
Right.
So,
I looked up ChatGPT to also on the artist I'm recommending, a singer, and I put her name in, and I put my name in because I was trying to figure out what I've said. I couldn't remember which album I specifically wanted to, and it said, it said, by her name, you're probably referring to this Icelandic singer, blah, blah, blah. And by my name, you're probably referring to the music critic. And their names show up together and some song titles that apparently I'd written about of her. And it said, the nature of their relationship, is hard to determine, and if we were like a business associates, because it couldn't figure out what was going on with my name and her name and what it was finding. And anyway, I watched two videos in advance of this on YouTube. One was how AI is going to destroy music, and the other one is AI is not going to destroy music.
Right.
And the
Just
AI
put them in a room and let them fight it out.
I think they were both right and wrong, but the guy who said AI is not going to destroy music asked ChatGPT, will AI replace musicians? And it was like, oh, no, AI can't replace musicians because it doesn't have the depth and nuance to be able to express feelings and blah, 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 and basically imagine ChatGPT, talking up AI.
Right.
But, and the guy was just kind of like, see there? It's like, wow, you made a great case. But it was, I don't know. It's like it's all... I think that's true, and I do think that for formulaic musicians, AI is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, well, but I thought about it. I thought, a lot of people start out and they're not very good.
Right.
And this will be so discouraging if you're not, if you're 17 and you want to be a writer and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to see the first stories I wrote in journalism, God, they were terrible. But, and same thing for musicians or aspiring musicians. Sure. And it'll be so...
It's embarrassing.
Right, yeah.
But you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. Right. And, and I think it'll be really, I think some people will benefit, but I think the people who are going to suffer the most are like aspiring young, new musicians. I think the bedroom pop that we talk about with people with their computers and they just sit at home and they make their own music. I don't know how they're going to be able to get it out there. And if it's not as good as ChatGPT or there are different AI platforms.
Right.
So we need to clear that up. But I don't know.
And it robs them of the part of being a struggling young musician is dealing with the problems you have, getting the idea out of your head onto tape, or in my case it was tape, or onto a computer or whatever. And you've got to go through and resolve those problems. And once you get the resolution, that's a lesson you put in your bag of tricks, and you accumulate those over time, and then you can write a competent song. But
I think it'll be very discouraging for people who, unless they're just like really super talented. I think the super talented will find
the cream
their way
will
through.
rise to the top.
Right. And and if you deliberately do things that are unconventional and tell unconventional stories, AI can't keep up with you. Right. So AI is just kind of this middle road where the formula is on one side and they're flying past it, but then the really, thoughtful people who aren't formulaic, they'll still survive, but
I think there's going to be fewer
it's just
and fewer.
It's another dink for artists that they've already been suffering from, like with digital downloads, and I was like, you're not making that much money off download or digital music anyway. I mean, selling your stuff and streaming it. What are you making from that?
Nothing.
Like 2 cents, from Spotify or whatever. So
it's interesting. The first AI produced stuff that I heard, there was a group of people, and I'll only say this title once for you, Chuck, since the first somebody sent me a song called "I Glued My Balls to My Butthole."
See, that's fun.
And somebody...
Do we want that to survive, though?
Actually, we do, because it was very sophomore.
Well, you heard what I was listening to on my way.
I know. Yeah, you wanted to talk.
Right.
But it was funny. Somebody had written the lyrics, but they wanted it to sound like an early 1960s R&B group, and it does.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so funny, is it sounded so real. Yeah. And they did tons of these things, and they're funny. I don't get any emotional charge out of it.
Right.
But for sophomoric humor, it's great.
Right.
One of my friends was always write Death of a Salesman in the form of a Smurfs cartoon, things like that. And it's fun for a while, but then, it's kind of too easy, and it's not really that funny after. I mean, it had to have humans write the humor into this.
Right. Yeah, I don't think AI is ever going to meet the high standards of the Bloodhound Gang.
Well, and the other thing is and we talked about this a few weeks ago, a friend of mine had me listen to a country version of War Pigs, which sounded like Johnny Cash singing Black Sabbath's song War Pigs, and I liked it. And that was really troublesome to me. that it was like, yeah, I would put this on.
But there's liking something and thinking it's entertainment, and then there's something that really moves you. They're different things.
Well, but by that token, hearing Johnny Cash sing those lyrics, hearing his voice sing those lyrics, I mean, it wasn't Hurt. The song Hurt, but I thought to myself, man, I wish he was alive to actually sing this, because he could add something to it, but it was still listenable enough that I would listen to it again.
Right.
I think the first AI stuff I heard was people trying, the commands were, I want a new Beatles song written by Paul, but different, a new song. And it sounded like Paul McCartney singing a Beatles song, but it wasn't a song you recognized.
Well, that song, there's a song called Daddy's Car that Sony did. It's like been 10 years ago. And that's what it was. It sounded like a Paul McCartney song done by a group that didn't sound quite like the Beatles, but it sounded like, it reminded me of Backseat of My Car from Ram.
Yeah.
But it was...
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an old song I know.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it was good enough that it was listenable, and if I weren't trying to get something more out of it, I would have just thought, well, it's another okay song on the radio.
Well, John was kind of hinting at this earlier, but don't you think that you might be, we're older than, we're not Gen Z here,
right.
And how Gen Z hears this might be different than how we hear it. And you also intellectualize, music, and a lot of people, it's strictly just, background noise or party noise or something like that.
A beat to dance
to. Yeah, I mean, and we've gone through, I kind of wanted to not really go into history, but a lot of challenges of, invention and creation and moving forward in the music industry that people tried to hold back.
Right.
And that could go, I'm sure the first time someone plugged a guitar up into the wall and charged it with electricity, I'm sure people thought, an abomination,
Well, people walked out of Bob Dylan at the Newport
Folk Festival.
Because when he went electric, and it was like,
that would have been the end of music.
Yeah.
Right? And just the advances in studio technology and everything. If people... like today's pop songs that you hear, those are stitched together.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just everybody in one room, all the musicians and singers in one room and one mic doing a recording straight through. It's carefully, meticulously layered and layered and layered. And it's not authentically something that the band just made. It's like it has to be pieced together.
Yeah.
Well, and there are people who thought that would be terrible, but it actually sounds great.
Well,
you can accept that band never really created that song like that.
Yeah, and I do. When I think about this, I thought a lot about sampling.
Yeah.
And how I was so bothered by sampling.
Yeah.
And it took, the Turtles, Flo and Eddie, Howard Kalin and Mark Volman sued De La Soul over, I think it was their song 3 Foot High. It was off the album 3 Foot High and Rising. I can't remember if it was the song or not. But because they sampled You Showed Me from one of the Turtles albums, and because it was so much, they sued them, and they actually wound up getting publishing off of De La Soul, and that set the tone for the rest of sampling from there on out. It sure
did. You had Mariah Carey sampled Tom Tom Club.
Yeah.
And that one sample in her song Fantasy, which is like a big #1 pop album or pop song, that probably got them as much profit as all the other Tom Tom songs together.
Yeah.
And plus Adrian Belew was on that, so he also got his writing credit because it was his riff and everything. And then you had,
I was just going to say, if you've ever looked at the list of all the samples that's on the Beastie Boys Paul's Boutique, that was before any kind of regulation had happened, and that whole album is samples.
Yeah.
It's almost exclusively samples.
Yeah. Well,
and it can introduce. Even Queen David Bowie Under Pressure, sampled by Vanilla Ice for Ice Baby.
Oh no,
and MC Hammer, he sampled Super Freak for Can't Touch This.
Yep.
Yeah, and
they get the credit. And they make money, and if they're okay with it and they get credit, I think it's absolutely fine.
Well, Kanye West with Gold Digger. That's he took a sample from Ray Charles.
Yeah,
and of course Ray Charles did not particularly like hip hop.
I wasn't sure he was still around then.
Well, that's the thing. I can't remember if he was dead by then or not. But when I talked to him, he had no respect for. Well,
maybe his estate had respect for Kanye West.
Oh, but I think they probably did because
they made some money.
A lot of money.
But we used to argue about electronic programming too, which is also kind of an AI thing because you liked instruments played by human hand, you know, like guitars and stuff like that. And I was always like, you know, if someone actually programmed in the electronic, I don't mind if they hit loop. You know, they
right. I don't mind that.
They don't put like 12 or 16 notes in and hit loop, and then you'll hear it again and again. But it was all programmed.
Well, what I think I will like about AI is that when they start doing something really different with it. I mean, the thing that always we used to argue about. I hate like synthesizers that try to sound like real instruments. I mean, if I want to hear electronic music, I want it to be something messed up sounding, something that.
Well, that's one of the keys to buck AI is to build in like a little flaw. I think it's what is it? Cannonball by the Breeders. Mm-hmm. It opens with a dun dun dun, and then I think Kim Deal actually hits the wrong note. And they left it in, and then she gets back to the right note again. And it's such a human touch that AI would never do. Yeah. It just makes it that much more likable. So it wouldn't hurt to make a mistake to kind of stray off key or something like that.
And like with as far as, and I can't tell it in the music if AI is actually making some mistakes, but when you see AI art and you see that sixth finger on one hand, or you see, you know, like this.
They're getting
arm
better and better about getting those six fingers out of there, though.
I know, but that's what I like. I like the mess ups.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's like, oh, this is weird. And the one, I've seen some. Of course, there's an AI actress that they're trying to get a contract for. It's all a publicity thing, basically. Yeah. But I have seen some AI video that I thought was great. There's we have talked about it before. There's a Pookie Park. It's an ad. It looks like a late 1950s, early 1960s theme park ad. And it's like if you stay in this theme park after dark, the monsters all come alive and you become one of them. But it's really scary. And it's really good. And it's all AI. But somebody put in the right prompts, and it's like, I appreciate that. That's something that's totally different than anybody else is doing. And I've seen lots of these things where they make these AI monsters. It's like, that's what it's good for.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take artists who do extrapolate some good things out of AI. Right. I mean, think about, like, if you can afford an AI platform, subscribe to an AI platform that you don't have to have a whole band and all this other stuff, and you can work things and you can put yourself in it and just kind of like fold the two together. And it's kind of like when we talk about lip syncing, what a scandal that was in the 80s, you know, that singers were lip syncing and all that stuff. And they'd been lip syncing before that. They lip synced all the time on TV, even before, you know. But we had, I think Madonna, I'm going to talk about Madonna in a second, but she figured out a way to make it work, because there are people who want to see her dance, not stand at a microphone and sing a 2-hour show. And there are people who want to hear her sing. So the way she I think this was an ideal compromise. She actually recorded a new audio track that could be used to support her vocals. So they didn't use her vocals from the record. They did a whole new live recorded. And she sang every show. She sang from beginning to end. But when she's doing dance songs and everything, there's somebody with their hands on the button. And when she's like panting and running out of breath while she's trying to sing, then they bring up that the pre-recorded live vocal track and go back and forth. So, and like every ballad, she just straight up sang. Right. So you get her. You can always hear her. Sometimes you just hear her panting, and you hear, you know, the pre-recorded track. And it's just kind of like that. Kind of served all the people that wanted something from it. It's like, okay, we can take that. Yeah. It didn't make up for art, and I can't believe when you talk about ZZ Top fake playing guitar. It's like, I don't understand that at all.
I know. It was like, and I had hearing damage from that show. Right. And I was so pissed off because it's like, I'm
sorry, if all you're doing is, if you are just playing the guitar and you're not dancing or you're not singing or anything like that, why the hell would you just be air guitar or whatever? I mean, why would you just be faking that?
Well, they had all sorts of props for that tour, and they had like the fuzzy guitars and stuff. So it was like, it was all an act for some of those songs. All right. It wasn't the whole show that they did that way, but it was enough that it pissed me off. Yeah. Of course, the next time they came out and they played everything.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. If you find a way to use the new technology and use it for the good, and then still get your creative stamp on it, and there's still humans involved, and human faces and voices or whatever are part of the system, then it'll be good.
Well, I mean, like we were kind of touched on before, new technologies that bring new possibilities that seemed outrageous at the time, and they're artificial, and it's not. I mean, because when recording started, the act of recording was you set up some microphones in a room, and you had a group of musicians play together, and you recorded it onto a mono track, and that's all you had. You didn't. But then they got multiple tracks, and then you started to be able to like overdub, like you could. The band could play, and then you could come back and add vocals, and then
and you could do like a lead vocalist could do their own backing vocals.
And then Les Paul got one of the first 8-track recorders, and he and his wife Mary Ford made these incredible multi-tracked. I mean, and it's just really innovative stuff. I can listen to it today, and it's almost jaw-dropping how he'd play in these lightning-fast 4- and 5-tracked guitar runs, all in harmony. And this was in the early 60s. I mean, no one had thought of that before.
Well, and then in, I guess it was the 80s, Frank Zappa released Jazz from Hell, and he had a synclavier.
Which is a big thing of what ZZ Top had.
Yeah, and he played things that real musicians could not have played on those instruments, and I like it. It's cool. It's like, but it's something extra. It's not just filling in the stuff that people can already do.
And it can go too far, because it's like I've heard duets by people who live on different continents and never even met each other.
Or Nat King Cole
and
Natalie Cole.
I hate that. I despise it when they do.
You've got Natalie Cole's voice being stripped into Nat King Cole's, pre-recorded, I guess, vocal. Unforgettable. Right? So it's like, wow, he wasn't really singing to her. And this is the same thing if you do a duet now, because I've seen people say, what was it like working with so-and-so? It's like, oh, we never met. It's like, oh, that does kind of take away from it.
Well, I mean, and this is just my personal taste, but I just happen to think that the magic really happens when you got musicians looking at each other and playing off of each other. That's where the magic happens. And
but there are a lot of people, like pop singers and all that stuff today, like,
don't have a band.
They don't. They never meet the band. The band never meets them, and it's all just, like I say, stitched together like a Frankenstein's monster. And sometimes it sounds good. It depends on the genre of music and what you're trying to get done with the music.
Well, and another example of listen to Bohemian Rhapsody and all of those vocals and that just wild choir-like vocals, and that's not possible. I mean, they had to overdub, and that's just 4 guys.
But it's still humans doing it.
Oh, I know, and it's brilliant.
Right.
But the overdubbing makes it kind of inauthentic. It's not like it didn't just come out.
It's a little bit artificial. Everything about. I mean, when you record a vocal and you put reverb on it, that's artificial. I mean, anything. It's all artificial. The whole act of recording is artificial. You
just have to decide where you draw the line, and that's why I'm saying, we've been through older music and we've been through more things that Gen Z people I don't care about that. They may really feel that way. Not everybody in one generation, everybody's different. But one I wanted to mention was ABBA.
Right.
They did an album in 2022, so they had been gone for a long time. They did an album called Voyage, and they did a hologram tour. God. So they were in Sweden, and I don't know how successful or how many even American shows they had. They were way bigger in the rest of the world than they were here.
Right.
But it was like a big thing for Europe. I think the tour, I'm not sure about this, I shouldn't even say it, but it seems like it went on for a long time. And the members of ABBA, who are like in their 70s, I mean, one or two of them may even be in their 80s now, but they were in Sweden the whole time. But they performed, and the holograms that were where the show was in New York.
So they performed every show.
Yeah, they performed, and they used to these holograms of younger versions of them. So they were performing, and the holograms were what they looked like in the 70s, early 80s.
And that's what people want to see. They don't want to see a bunch of...
They don't want to see a bunch of 70 and 80. They want to see people
I'll see the old people
hobble out there. Well, it depends on who you're looking at. But ABBA, you want them spinning around or whatever.
Well, it's interesting because in the 70s, Kraftwerk did a tour where they basically set up robots. They were not there. They had the robots playing the music.
Right.
And I don't know how many people went to see it, but I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to see a bunch of damn robots.
Right. Well, meanwhile, Daft Punk dressed up like robots, but that was them. So,
true enough. Yeah, I mean, well, what artist? I mean, can you all think of an artist that you think is going to use AI and do something extraordinary?
Brian Eno.
I think Brian Eno's already started.
I think he already has. I'm sure he has. He's such a forward-thinking artist.
Yeah.
I'm sure Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother, probably already has.
Think so?
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's a pretty adventurous musician, too.
Yeah.
Radiohead?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think so many people, like a new technology comes and a real artist will take it and start tweaking things till it pushes it into glitchiness. And that's
what I want to hear.
It's like auto-tune. It's like, I'm so sick of auto-tune. But then Brian Eno used auto-tune on one of his albums, and he made his voice so high that it sounded like a little baby.
Yeah.
And it was like, he's not correcting notes. He's making it into something new.
Yeah, and that's what I want to hear. I mean, I do think that there are probably young artists out there who don't have the opportunity. I mean, we're in a weird situation where musicianship gets better and better because young musicians can go on YouTube and learn all this stuff. I mean, I remember talking to, I think it was Chet Atkins who was telling me I had to get the 78 on the Victrola and keep putting the needle back, to hear this part again and again so I could try to copy that part.
Good grief. Wow.
And now kids can go out online and find out how to play anything.
Oh, there's software too, where like if there's like a particularly fast guitar run, you can put it into the software and it'll slow it all the way down. And you can learn.
Yeah.
And then just speed it up slowly and slowly.
But I'm sure there are people who have this beautiful music in their heads that hopefully with AI they'll be able to get that beautiful music out.
Hopefully it'll be affordable.
Right.
And you can have DIY artists like we do have now. I think they're going to suffer, like I say, the ones who aren't particularly good, but the bedroom pop people, if they can run the software. You're going to have to be a programmer as well as a musician.
Right.
Just not having those skills is going to really hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who are going to be hurt and there are people who are going to benefit.
Well, I'm really more worried. We're checking our word people more. Of course, you're a lyricist. But I'm more worried about dumbing. I mean, it's already dumbed down to a large extent in music, but dumbing down lyrics.
Yeah.
So that you're not going to really have any heart in it. It's going to be so, like we talked about at the beginning, so generic that that's what people expect and people want. I mean, when I
think you're lumping all people into one big. I just think there's a lot of people that don't want that.
I think it's going to feel less bad to younger people, though. I think that we've been through enough, and we've got enough fond, memories and everything of people who were putting their guts into music and all that, and they don't have that same reference points that we have. Well, and we didn't have the same reference points that people who were freaked out by the first electric guitar. You know, we just accepted that as what was part of music. So,
well, but are they going to think, okay, well, this sounds like the Beatles is going to be as good as the Beatles? Are they going to be able to tell the difference?
Maybe not.
Well, I mean, how important are the Beatles to Gen Z?
Right.
I know, but take it to Billie Eilish.
Right.
Is an AI Billie Eilish song going to be as good as Billie Eilish? Are they going to know the difference?
Well, that's the beauty of the Billie Eilish Phineas connection is that he's a really savvy programmer, and she's a very distinctive vocalist. And I think it's going to be hard to ever. And she's got one of those distinct voices that would definitely be a copyright violation if you heard a voice just like hers.
Right.
So her voice is distinct, and his production, he's on top of everything. I think it's going to be harder to sound like them than it would be like your friend Sabrina Carpenter or someone like that. She'll be a lot easier to imitate.
And there is some legal precedent for this because, and I think we may have mentioned it before, there was I can't remember what they were advertising, but a company wanted to get Tom Waits to sing their jingle, and he wouldn't do it.
Right. What were they selling? Bags of broken glass or something?
I can't remember what it was now, but he had such a distinctive voice, and he wouldn't do it, so they got somebody who sounded like him, and he sued and won.
Oh, really? Even if they had a real live person?
They had a real person do it, but it was obvious they were trying to sound like Tom Waits. They'd already asked him to do it, and he wouldn't do it, so he sued, and he won the case. Huh. So there's some legal precedent for getting somebody to sound like somebody else.
I mean, keep in mind we had what was her name? The U.S. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon.
Oh boy!
In April of 2025, it was an education conference and everything, and they were talking about the dangers of AI.
Right.
And her speech, she called it A1
I
every
remember
time.
that.
And it's like, here's the Department of Education Secretary who doesn't know steak sauce from artificial intelligence, and she's going to save us from it.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. She's not.
She wasn't hired.
But I mean, that's what we have.
No.
That's what we have for. I mean, we're really counting on other countries to step up on this because we don't have the infrastructure.
We're totally selling out to technology companies.
Yes.
I mean, it's just every day you see it more and more, and your individual rights are subjugated to whatever the tech giants want.
Well, I think people that are drawn to make music used to could in the 60s and 70s could think, all right, if I can make it rich. I could be treated like a prince.
Right.
And that is gone.
Oh yeah.
And now the people that want to be a musician are doing it because they love it.
Yeah. But you got the Taylor Swifts who do get to the very top, and the Billie Eilish.
You've got one Taylor Swift.
Well, I know you got one Taylor
Billie
Swift,
Eilish.
but you have a handful of people. Not
yeah.
like it used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
But you still have a handful of people that the artists would aspire to be.
And those are kind of, I mean, most of the ones that we're getting their hits now, they got started in Disney. You know, they got started on TV.
True
on
enough.
Disney. So not those two, but like just no, like all of them. I could go on and on.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. And we've got a lot of people who have crossed over from The Voice or American Idol.
Right.
And if you've got a Nepo baby or something like that, you've got people who just have the connections already. Yeah. And it's going to be really hard for someone with no connections, despite their drive and talent. But, you know, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, people still play the lottery and hope they're going to win, you know. But I don't know. I mean,
I think there's always going to be artists.
There will be.
And
but they're going to have to either have a additional income, or they're going to have to they're going to have a spouse that can support them. Yeah. You know, it's hard. I don't know how you're. But I will say, I don't think AI is going to be able to ruin live music
or comedy,
you know? Or what?
Or comedy.
Or comedy.
Yeah.
But it's because I don't think it has a sense. I mean, that's one of the things we were talking about, I think, before about AI, that it can't interpret like satire.
Right.
So when it's doing
sarcasm.
Yeah. So when it's pulling stories to create a news story, it can pull a story from The Onion and just think that's also factual and deal with the Onion facts, which is straight up satire.
Right.
And it can't distinguish. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to make it more and more savvy so that, you know, maybe it'll be able to. And a lot of satire things, they have to label stuff satire now because the real news is usually so satirical.
Insane.
But I don't know. I think that there's just some, like you say, with comedy. And then with live music, I mean, I don't know, you're going to do holograms of AI people and big crowds are going to show, maybe they will, but big crowds will show up to see holograms of fake people. I don't know what kind of crowd that's going to draw. Maybe it will. But if you want to make music and you're good at it, you know, I mean, by all means, go for it. People still want to hear it.
Yeah.
Gen Z still wants to hear it. But I don't know that this and the end result's going to be negative on music, but I don't think it'll destroy music.
Well, I do think that things are going to go. There's a lot of things that will be underground. People will be able to get stuff passed through. And I think there's already a backlash to social media and the internet technology, everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I do think there will be people who just say, I want something that feels real.
Right.
And I sure hope so.
I believe that.
You know, when that happens, I want to be connected into that.
Right. Yeah, and you can see from the backlash just in social media posts. You know, it used to be everyone believed that toddler created that extremely intricate sandcastle of his family portrait or whatever. People were just buying these unbelievable works of art that a 3 or 5 year old, you know, and now you put something like that up. It's like, stop with the damn AI, blah, blah, blah. You know, all the responses are.
Well, the ones I see now are the animals coming up to the toddlers on the porches.
Yeah.
And the first one I thought first I saw it, I thought, my God, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, this is created. This is bull.
Yeah, I saw when it was like 50 deer in the yard. It's like, whoa, okay. And then you see a little glitch in the background, and 2 deers become one. All of a sudden, it's like, oh.
Well, the one I really got fooled with is it was like a scene, like an overhead scene of a flood.
Yeah.
And I shared it. It's like, oh, man. And it was like my daughter said, this is AI.
Come on, Dad. Yeah.
But some of them are kind of funny. Have you seen the ones with like the cat on the front porch playing an electric guitar really loud late at night, and the woman comes out and says, no more guitar.
There was a long stream of I probably mentioned this before too, but a long stream of the police officer carrying a pregnant woman through a swollen river and blah blah blah. And I thought, oh my God, and it was like one after another. And then there was one of the dog carrying the little girl through a flood. It's like, okay, this was also AI.
There's the
so
tell.
people are making like satirical copies of the AI.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, so that helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I don't
a
know
lot
how many
funny.
people fell for the big-eyed child that was in the flood or whatever it was. It was it was awful. But, yeah, I don't know. I realize I'm sort of a Luddite on a lot of things, and I've been resistant. But
it's funny. I like worry about day-to-day things. I'm just stressful and fretful. But like the big picture things that you feel all doomy about, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm worried about that meeting tomorrow. But is the world ending Friday? I don't know. I can't do anything about it.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know that I'm worried about the world ending and worried about this being the end of music, but I do worry.
It's a ding.
Yeah, it's going to discourage real artists to some extent.
Yeah, I think it's going to encourage some real artists too.
Hopefully, I hope so. But I don't know. I mean, I have through the course of my nearly 6 years, I've just seen music become less important to people in a way.
I've seen that too.
It's not.
Well, we lived through this with journalism, and AI has become part of the destruction of journalism.
No, certainly.
We were at newspapers when everybody bought a print newspaper that was delivered in their mailbox, and advertising out the wazoo, and all of the subscribers in town, and it was just like this money-making machine. And then, boom, online, people started duplicating online news, and suddenly nobody wanted to buy a print newspaper, and there's a lot of investment and overhead for print newspapers because you've got machines and you've got workers who are dealing with them. You've got to buy paper, you've got to buy ink, you have to have a distribution system, and it wasn't easy with sales declining.
But we were at a paper that was doing better than most of the papers in the country as far as keeping readership.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was basically suicide in that paper because they started cutting out the things that made you want to buy that paper. And the people who owned it did not understand what was great about newspapers. It gets you off the computer.
They were looking at the bottom line.
Right, but it gets you. But they don't recognize this is. I always compared it to Starbucks because everybody was afraid of coffee. The coffee makers. Everybody's switching to soft drinks. They're all worried. Starbucks comes in and charges you 10 times what you paid for a cup of coffee.
Right.
But they give you a better cup of coffee, and it becomes part of people's lifestyle.
You're right.
And what happened with newspapers is they didn't give a shit about that. It was like, no,
and part of that was because they also had to start competing online with news. Because that's just where people were going.
But they didn't give you something that you couldn't get online. They put it all
Well, the
online.
problem was, like the TV stations were mostly giving their stories away for free,
right?
And the newspapers were trying to sell their subscriptions, so they had to have better writing and more in-depth writing.
But instead, they fired all the good writers.
Well, they just started. It was just layoffs after layoffs after layoffs, and they're also trying to cover the print costs, watching the print profit dry up and disappear, and the thing about businesses when they're struggling or failing or whatever is they try to be even-handed with the layoffs. So everybody was, they were reducing staff everywhere. And then when they were looking at the print paper, like here, they were focusing on news, which is fine. You know, they defocused on business. They defocused on entertainment. They defocused on features.
And defocused on local.
Well, they were also defocusing on sports. And it's like this particular
That would
town,
seem like be your lifeblood.
sports was, and it's like, you don't want to like cut down on. I mean, literally, you can just look at the numbers on the electronic board and see, wow, it's 5 stories, sports stories at the top. You know,
But
right
we watched it though, over and over with them moving the deadlines up earlier and earlier, so people would get the morning newspaper and wouldn't get the news that happened that night,
right?
Like they wouldn't get the sports scores.
It's gotten even worse. I mean, because now they're consolidating the print. You know, they built a press. We've got one of the newest presses here in town because then they stopped building them soon after we got ours, and now they're publishing a lot of the papers from the area. You know, like 200 miles away.
Contracting out the
Really,
printing press.
contracting out to keep the press going.
But
but what that does to papers who are 4 hours away is their deadline is pretty much 24 hours before their stories are going to be seen out on the streets. And really the print circulation is, they're struggling. There are a lot of great journalists still left, and there are people still fighting to keep it going. But man, I mean, we just watched it.
Is there still a print newspaper in Knoxville?
Yes. Yes.
But one of the things that was lost, and one of the things I didn't appreciate, and this is the same thing that's happening over all media and all art, is they try. I mean, what you get now online is so focused to what they already know you want.
Right.
And when we were writing for the newspaper, you opened up the newspaper and you had 5 stories on one page.
Right.
Maybe you were interested in this one story, but this headline grabbed you over here, and you didn't know you wanted to learn about this until you saw that headline, and then you read the whole paper.
Well, when you've got, you've got like 20% of the staff you used to have.
Yeah.
You don't have people to write it. You don't have people to edit it. And then you're shrinking, newsprint is expensive, so you have to make the paper smaller. Right. And you don't have advertising like you used to have, and you don't have the profit from advertising like I mean, it's a huge problem. So most papers tend to focus on a few things that they can excel at and just drop all the other stuff.
But newspapers are the same as the rest of media and art is they want the profit margins to be so incredibly high. I mean, in newspapers, when we first got into newspapers, the profit margins were huge.
No problem. Just swimming in money.
Right.
I mean, actually, our paper is pretty much funding TV adventure. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that worked out. But then all of a sudden the TV was making the money and the newspapers were hurting. It's like, we're just going to shrink these newspapers that built the TV.
Right.
So, I mean.
Well, because they lost, they didn't have any confidence in it. I don't think they liked it to begin with. And I mean, all the time that this was going on, I was watching the same thing happen in music because everything was going digital. Everything was going online. We had Napster, competing with record sales, and record companies figured out a better formula for doing this. Right. And newspapers just said, "Oh, to hell with it."
Well, I mean, true confession, Wayne was the president of the guild, and I was a member of the guild until I became a manager. And
you were a great guild member.
Well, I tried. I mean, I certainly believed in it. I believed in fairness and everything for as many people, and I understood what a dramatically challenging time it was, and I guess still is. And I do know, some of the best journalists out there are still working and are still trying, and they've not given up yet. And I hope enough people will care about local news. They can give depth that TV can't give because TV doesn't have time, to exploit that. But I'm glad I'm not in it anymore. Well, I'm glad that's not my problem now, and I wish them the best, and all journalists, TV journalists as well as print journalists.
Well, it's kind of heartbreaking to see young journalism students
give up.
Yeah, well,
we had interns. I had one that I don't know if you remember, but I was talking with her periodically, and she was working for me too,
right?
And then she said, I've just decided I'm changing my major. I'm not going to stay in journalism. And I was like, why?
Smart move.
And she said, I like it, but she said, I just don't see a future in it.
Yeah. Well, the last time I talked with a journalism class, I told them, I said, you're studying to be surgeons, but you're going to work in a morgue. And it's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that it's going to come back. I kind of have faith the way that you all have faith in this music that's going to go on. But I kind of have faith that eventually people are going to realize they have to actually pay to get the truth, which is what I told the class. It's like eventually somebody's going to figure this out. We're going to have to pay to get the truth because we can get all the lies for free.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's going out. I mean, it's what you get on the internet is you can't trust it. You have to pay somebody.
Yeah. Subscribe to your favorite journalism source. That's all I can say. It's like, you can't trust free news.
And you can't trust AI.
Because they're making money somehow. Yeah, and you can't trust AI. You can have fun with it. We've watched the movie industry too with AI. We don't have to get into that. But, they also had their challenges, and then COVID hit on top of that and streaming. But you go back through the movie industry, it's like, who would have thought that you would have just cartoon movies, and like Flow, we all three liked that movie, and it was just some Latvian group using some kind of program, no vocals or anything like that, and it was just, there's room for everything as long as it's judicious and not just totally destroying art.
Well, the good thing about, and actually movies kind of may show us the way, is with movies, even though you may not have all the movies you want at the theater, you have so many more outlets for movies to go out on because of all the streaming services. Right. They're not going to spend as much money to produce this stuff. Right. But there are places for independent films all over. They're all want content. Right. And who knows what AI will do to that, but I don't think AI can make a great independent movie. I think they could make a superhero movie.
I think they can make superhero movies. They can probably make like children's animated stuff. I do think that the movie industry, I think the people who do jingles for commercials and do ambient music for movies, they're in trouble with AI.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's going to be a real shortcut for them.
Well, and I think we discussed this in an earlier episode, but there was a newspaper article recently about how Spotify was contracting out on like their chill beats stations and like, like sort of ambient sort of stuff. And they were contracting out with several different firms in Scandinavia that were just cranking out music by the yard and making up a name for the artist. And Spotify's charging the same amount for you to listen to Spotify, but they're not paying these music farms. I mean, they're not paying the artists hardly at all, but they're really not paying these music farms.
Right. Well, there you go.
So, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. There's going to be some good. There's going to be some bad.
It's going to be something that satisfies the traditional music market, younger people, and it may not be something that would satisfy us. But hopefully, there's still art involved, and there's still innovation
and hopefully young people
creativity.
Young artists are encouraged and not discouraged.
Yeah.
I'm going to get AI to make the longest guitar solo ever. Just for you, Chuck.
No!
That's an idea. I want to do that.
Using AI for a good cause.
Oh, my God. I'll be done with music.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, recommendations.
You want to go?
Me? Okay, do I want to do... what am I doing? Okay. Well, I'm going to recommend that on TV... there's Andrew Santino, comedian Andrew Santino has a stand-up show called White Noise on Hulu. Uh-huh. He also hosts a podcast called Whiskey Ginger, and I enjoy his podcast. He's a redhead. Ginger. He's got a red hair and red beard. You'd know him if you saw him, and he makes a lot of jokes about being a redhead and how you can only wear like 2 colors if you're a redhead. he's real. I like him. He's 42 years old, and that's like the zone. When we were doing comedians who were good, I realized that the ones who seemed to be the hottest at that time were about 35 to 45. They'd lived, they'd been through some stuff. They hadn't given up on life yet, though, so it was just kind of like they were in this kind of super aware time. And that's where he's 42 now. He's a Chicago native, and he does a lot on this show, White Noise. He does a lot of just kind of conversational type humor. He's like someone you would just sit down and talk with. He's really accessible. And that shows on his podcast too. He recently interviewed Leanne Morgan, a Knoxville comedian who she's breaking big, like, really late
Yeah.
in time. And she's, she contradicts what I said about the zone. But and they just had a great conversation. It wasn't a laugh riot, but it was just always felt good. And you want to hear everything he says, and he's funny, and he's not outlandish, no voices and gimmicks and stuff like that. And John was asking me, kind of how dirty is he? And it's like, oh, not too bad. But I was thinking of some things he was talking about. It's like, well, maybe a little bit.
Oh, what's so funny about you, Chuck, is like,
I know.
You're kind of prudish on this show, and you listen to the filthiest comedians on the face of the earth.
Yeah, so I guess compared to the filthy comedians I listen to, he's
Squeaky
clean. But he's definitely not squeaky clean when he's talking about learning German in school. His mother made him take German instead of French or English. I mean, French or Italian. No, French or Spanish. And he said, those languages are beautiful. And he was like doing something, and then he was just saying things in German that were crass. But then when you talk about crass things in German, it sounds better. So anyway, he just, I don't know. He's talking about, he's not really political, but he's talking about guns. And he is talking about, what can they do to make guns less threatening and everything. He said, maybe if they made a different sound when they went off. Like instead of like bang, bang, like this big, adrenalized type sounds, if it's just something like, what did he say? Like, daddy? Daddy? So, I don't know. He's funny. He talks about horses and how dangerous horses are and how he hates horses. And he goes, you always get like Shark Week and everything. And sharks kill an average of 5 people a year. And horses kill like 600 people a year.
Why is there no horse week?
Yeah. So there should be a horse week. Anyway, he's funny. And again, it's called White Noise. It's on Hulu. Andrew Santino, redhead. And his podcast is, what did I say? Whiskey Ginger, yeah.
Yeah, okay. John, you have something?
Yes. But I'm writing down this so I can look it up.
Oh, well, I'll quickly say that his executive producer was Peyton Manning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, University of Tennessee legend, football player, quarterback.
Yes. My wife and I watched a documentary that was just released last month, which would have been November. And you'll be hearing this sometime in January, I guess. But
Yeah.
But it's called Being Eddie, and it's on Netflix, and it's a documentary about Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
And it's fascinating. I was thinking he had just complete wild years and everything. He hardly ever drank. He hardly ever did. He didn't do any drugs. And he was just good to everybody. He's been good to everybody he's worked with. And even though his comedy sometimes is really unfiltered, he's just genuinely a good guy.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And I forgot what a kind of a cultural icon he is. Because prior to him, there were no black leading actors. I mean, there were some.
There were a few,
but I mean, he was just a success every time he got on screen.
Beverly Hills Cop, I mean, that really set him up.
48 Hours.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's called Being Eddie. It's on Netflix.
Well, I want to recommend, and I've avoided this movie for 2 years, Beau is Afraid.
Okay.
It's 3 hours long.
I've seen some of that.
It's Ari Aster. It was what he did after Midsummer, and everything I read about it made me think, gosh, I'm going to have to really be in the right mood for this. It's so long. I don't want to go to the theater to see it because I really liked it. I think it's my favorite of his movies, including Eddington, which I thought was really good. But it starts out, this poor guy, Joaquin Phoenix plays this kind of slub who lives in the city. He's afraid of his neighbors, which he should be because he lives in this violent, awful place. It looks like New York. And I can't remember if they actually say New York or not. But
Is he not agoraphobic too or something?
I thought that was part of it, but he really isn't so much agoraphobic. He has really has things to be afraid of. These people do want to beat him up and steal from him.
Okay.
But he is guilty. He's going to go visit his mother, and she's guilting him when he feels like he can't. He locks his keys inside. He gets locked out of his apartment. But then it just goes on a wild adventure of him trying to visit his mother. And in the middle section, he is in a forest with people putting on a play. And suddenly he's in the play in his mind, and you go through probably 30, 40 minutes of him in this play.
Oh, my
But I thought it was really good. I didn't lose interest anywhere in it. And it was very affecting. I mean, when you get down to it, it's about toxic parenthood.
Okay. I didn't catch. I mean, what I've seen of it was very disorienting, I guess.
It's very disorienting, and it's funny because I went back and I read my friend Roger Moore's review of it. He does Movie Nation, and he loved the first half of it and hated the second half. And I think I like the second half better than the first.
Okay.
It makes sense at the end.
What is this movie called?
It's called Beau is Afraid.
Beau.
Beau.
That's his name.
And
hey, John, watch it and let me know what you think of it.
How do you watch it?
It's the reason I decided to go ahead and watch it. It's leaving Max soon, so I watch it on HBO Max. And
Well, I hope not before this comes out.
I'm
sure it'll be available.
It'll be someplace
somewhere.
else. I mean, that's
it'll
what
always
happens.
be somewhere, yeah.
And I'm sure you can just rent it outright. But like I said, I was afraid of it because I'd read how long it was and how confusing it is. I didn't find it confusing. It is long, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, let me know, John.
Yeah, I don't know if
Am I the probe?
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if.
Well, I didn't like Eddington either, and he does a lot of long shots.
He does a lot of long shots.
And I'm impatient.
But with Eddington, none of the characters are likable.
No.
In this, I started out not liking him, and then I started getting real sympathy for him.
I saw, I felt sympathy for Beau.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how much I could take.
Well, by the end of it, you understand why he is the way he is. And that was weirdly satisfying.
Okay.
So I recommend it. It's, like I said, people might hate it. I would understand anybody who hated it. But I personally liked it a lot, and I think it's my favorite Ari Aster movie.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to do music. First, I want to make sure I said Andrew Santino and not Santini. I have this.
I think you said Santino.
You said Santino because that's what I wrote.
All right, good. Thank you.
I'm your scribe.
Music, oddly enough, another Italian name, Emiliana Torini.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And she is actually Icelandic, but her father was Italian. And she had an Icelandic name to start with, and then she went and adopted an Italian name. Emiliana Torini. That's Emiliana, and then Torini, Torrini. And so her thing was, I went to mention to you, John, she performed some with Gus Gus, which was an Icelandic group, and they worked with Sigur Rós.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think they did like remixes for Sigur Rós. I don't know if she was ever directly connected to Sigur Rós, but anyway, Torini, she came out at a time, I know I talked about the Bloodhound Gang and how that made me feel like I was just filthy and dirty, male pig or whatever, and Leon Anais came out with an album soon after that reinvented my spark for women singers, and she came out at the same time as Leon Anais, and this was at 1999, November 1999. She released an album called Love in the Time of Science, and she has a voice that is similar in tone to Bjork, and she has a similar accent to Bjork. She's not nearly as eccentric as Bjork, but she does establish her own groove. This album is similar to like Mazzy Star, Sneaker Pimps, Massive Attack, and if none of that means anything to you, I'll say like ambient kind of electronic jazz. There's a little bit of Billie Holiday to her, and it's just very kind of flavorful. If you can imagine, I could see Bjork doing this if she wanted to, but she didn't. But it's woozy and kind of got these alternating cool and warm currents. I think one of my favorite songs is Unemployed in Summertime. And it's just this lazy kind of groove. And she was like 21 when she made this album. Right. And it is about being unemployed in summertime. You're only just turned 21. You'll be okay. And then there's another song on there, Telepathy, which is relatively showy but alluring. It sounds kind of like a James Bond type film song score.
What year did this come out?
1999,
okay.
November 1999. So it's right before the turn of the century.
Cool.
My recommendation for music is I am recently obsessed with a podcast by Jad Abumrad, who was one of the principals of Radiolab, which is one of the grandfathers of podcasts. He's also did Dolly Parton's America, which was a 5 or 6 part history of Dolly Parton. It was really amazing. And this new one, it just came out in November of this year, and it's called Fela Kuti, Fear No Man. And Fela Kuti, if you're not familiar with him, invented Afrobeat, which was he's Nigerian. He was Nigerian. He's no longer alive. But he invented a whole new form of music, and it's very hypnotic. It's very long form. He'll write a song and it'll be 30 minutes long. And he's got a big band, usually between 25 and 30 band members with background singers and horn section and drummers, and they do these long form jams, and they'll play 15, 20 minutes just instrumental, and they never leave the same key. It's just constant. It's called an ostinato, and it's the Italian phrase. It means obstinate. It means refusing to change. And at first, they describe in this podcast that your monkey mind wants it to change. You're just like, God, this is the same thing over and over and over again. But then after about 10 minutes of it, you start to get into this trance-like state. And once he gets you into that state, then he starts singing at like 10, 15 minutes into the song, and you're thinking, wow. Yeah. But he's singing about social protest things in Nigeria. Nigeria was notoriously corrupt, and it went from one corrupt regime, military.
When was this again?
I'm sorry?
When was this?
His first record, I think, came out he was in the late 60s he was recording, but his first Fela Kuti was in, I think, 71.
Okay.
And he had this pattern where he would, so he had a club, he called it the Shrine, in the middle of Lagos, which is the capital of Nigeria, and his house was adjacent to it, and this whole city block, he just declared that it was a sovereign nation and that the laws of Nigeria did not apply in his sovereign nation. And this nightclub where his band would play for hours and hours, and people would come in, and there'd be clouds of marijuana smoke. And in Nigeria, all drugs were considered evil, and a half-smoked joint would get you 10 years in jail. And the police would raid his place, and then they'd throw him in jail, and then he'd get out of jail, and he'd write a song about his treatment at the hands of the corrupt government. It would piss the government off. They'd raid him again. He'd go to jail. They'd beat the crap out of him. He'd get out, and he'd write a song about that one. And so in this one album I'm going to suggest is called Expensive Shit. Yeah. And the story behind it is that the police raided his house, and they couldn't find any marijuana. And then so one of the guys just dropped a joint on the floor and said, "Look, here." And Fela said, "I don't see what you're talking about." And the guy said, "It's a joint." He goes, "I can't see it." And he goes, "It's in my hand." He goes, I can't see it. And he keeps getting his hand closer and closer to Fela's face, and Fela just grabs it and eats it. And so they arrest him and put him in jail and wait for him to poop so that they can prove that he has. And so when he was in jail, all of his cellmates, they loved him. Fela was hugely popular with the working classes, and everybody in the jail loved him. So they shared their poop buckets so that he didn't poop for 3 days. In fact, he did. And his mom was sneaking him in spinach to eat so that it would cleanse out his system. And so by the end of 3 days, they finally they got him, and they made him. They had to observe him pooping, but by that time all the drugs were gone from his system, and so they had to let him go. And so that's the name of this album, is Expensive Shit, because they had to feed and clothe him for 3 days, and they never could.
I had no idea that's why that was named that.
Yeah.
And Fela Kuti, F-E-L-A?
F-E-L-A, Kuti's K-U-T-I.
U-T-I.
Yeah,
what was the podcast again?
It's called Fela Kuti, Fear No Man.
Okay.
And by Jad Abumrad.
Jad, J-A-D?
J-A-D,
okay.
Abumrad.
Abumrad.
I think he's Lebanese. He lives in Nashville.
Okay.
I got to listen to that.
Oh, it's so good. It's really fascinating. And he was just absolutely defiant. He would not the government beat him. He had scars all over his back, but he never, ever backed down to them, and just was defiant his whole life.
Wow.
Anyway.
It was great. Well, because we started off with a country song that was AI, I want to recommend from 1986, Randy Travis's Storms of Life. Because
your friend Randy Travis.
My buddy Randy. Because Randy helped bring country music, traditional country music, back.
When was this from?
1986.
Okay.
It was his debut album, or his debut album. I think he actually recorded one when nobody knew who he was, and you could never find it. But this one it got some of the best songwriters who were working in Nashville then, and he was what they were tying themselves to. Paul Overstreet, Don Schlitz, all these guys who were writing great songs. And he was a true traditionalist. Mm-hmm. He brought back country music that sounded like the classic stuff from the 60s and the 50s and early 70s, and really changed country. He didn't get the credit that he deserves, because I remember walking through Westtown Mall and hearing a bunch of kids start singing Digging Up Bones, which is on this album.
Right.
And it was like teenagers singing country music at that time was...
Even in Tennessee, that was rare.
Yeah, even in Tennessee, you just did not hear that. And it's like, man, something is changing. And the reason is because he was so real and so good and so authentic. I mean, he lived it and breathed it. I thought he was a great guy. I always got along great with Randy. And, he's had a lot of medical problems. And he actually has somebody else augmenting with AI when he sings now. I mean, he doesn't sing, but his voice is being used.
Right.
And
But you're okay with that, aren't you?
I'm mixed.
No, yeah.
I mean, he can't sing now because of the medical problems he's had. But at least it's a situation where the technology is preserving the person's voice that is actually getting paid.
Right.
So I'm a little mixed on it, but,
Using technology to... I mean, how is that different than using a wheelchair if you've got a spinal cord injury?
Maybe. Or using autocorrect to correct your pitch.
Auto-tune?
Auto-tune, yes, not autocorrect.
Autocorrect's
a totally different thing.
Is notoriously wrong anyway.
Makes all my texts wrong.
Yes, it sure does.
But anyway, 1986, Storms of Life, it's a really good place to start with more modern country music, even though now it's, 40 years old.
Okay.
I don't know any of his music, but I've got a good feeling about him.
I don't think he ever made an album that was really bad, but his first few albums are great, and they were always on my top of the year lists. He's, like I said, he was the real thing, and real musicians, really good songs that actually meant something, and it was not just, this is what the audience wants.
I remember when people actually meant something and they actually cared about their art.
Cut it out.
Those were the days. Okay, well,
all right.
We're done with AI, I believe. We're done with their show here, right?
AI might not be done with us.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Let's see if we can do an AI-generated podcast.
Yes. No. About A1 steak sauce.
A1 steak sauce, yes. Let's get McMahon.
Well, if you want to, you can follow us on social media all over the place. We're on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok.
How we heard it at Gmail.
Also, yes, you can write us with suggestions, feedback at howweheardit@gmail.com.
And send us something from Mongolia.
Send us something from Mongolia. You know what? Just a hello from Mongolia would mean everything, because we know somebody's out there in Mongolia. So
yeah, I don't think yak milk is going to last. I don't think yak milk is going to last if they send it to us.
I looked it up, though. I mean, I thought, well, where is Mongolia? I mean,
right.
I know where it is, but it's like, what's going on with Mongolia now?
Yeah.
They've got Ulaanbaatar or whatever, their capital city is the
right.
thing. I saw a Miss Universe pageant. They had a very fine-looking, normal young woman as Miss Mongolia. And
is Mongolia an independent country, or is it part of China?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's independent.
Is it adjacent to China?
Yeah, it's like between China and Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who wants to be there? And in the middle of nowhere. It's not even near. It's really cool, really. I mean, just to think that it's there. Of course, Genghis Khan. That's
True,
like one of the most famous.
Well,
but anyway,
not to go too far off subject, but there's a great movie called Babies, and one of the it just follows babies from when they're born, like to their when they turn maybe
Okay.
1.5. It's great. But one of the babies is a Mongolian baby,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
really super cute, and it just
Yeah.
shows the baby in Mongolia like hanging out and learning stuff.
Well, Mongolia, I don't know how to say we love you, but we love you, Mongolia, and all the rest of you, and we'll be back. Thank you.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.